Can you guys hear me okay? All right, super.
Test, test. Can you hear me? Okay. We're ready. All right, it's 10 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody this morning. We'll officially call this meeting to order. If you will, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come together today as neighbors and as a community to thank you for the lessons of the past, both the joys and have strengthened the bonds and challenges that we have taught us resilience and patience. We are thankful for Stacy and Mark, who have selflessly given to our community, and let them know how thankful we are for their service. As we step into new beginnings with Jerry and Terry and the incumbent board members, guide our decisions with wisdom, respect, and cooperation. Help us to lead with open hearts and open minds, embracing change where it is needed and preserving what is good. We ask for healing where there is a misunderstanding or division. Restore our sense of shared purpose to help us to listen to one another with grace. Bless our efforts today and in the days to come. May everything we do be good for the good of this community we call home. In your name we pray, amen.
All right, so we've got a few items of business. The first thing we're going to do is we want to consider the approval of the meeting minutes for the September 18th, 2025 open meeting and executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we have 4 items that we're going to vote on, some amended documents. These were sent out in a couple of different email blasts, but just to recap, the first one is the final draft of the Rules and Regulations Amendment. What we did here, we had a lot of member feedback, overwhelming feedback after the approval of Rules and Regulations in May of this year. We've eliminated the guest use fee for non-motorized watercraft. And in order to clarify the process further, we modified the verbiage of XVB 18 regarding guest-owned watercraft to be included in the amendment. Everything else in the rules and regulations stays in full effect. So instead of just going in and saying non-motorized watercraft, we just rewrote the entire section and added the word motorized. So because, you know, the thought process behind this is we want to protect our lakes, which is one of our biggest assets, and motorized boats do cause a little more damage, or potentially cause more damage to the water bodies than non-motorized watercraft do. So, want to consider the approval of to the amendment of the Holly Lake Ranch Association Rules and Regulations. Do we have a motion? Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion among the board? All in, Bill?
No, I was just going to make a comment. So the net effect of that is where we, with a blanket statement around, you know, boats, watercraft, okay, motorized, non-motorized. What this basically does is it says kayaks, which was the big issue, but kayaks, canoes, things like that, will not have a fee. So somebody could bring those in. So that's the net effect of that change, okay?
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next up is the final draft 4th Amended Covenant Enforcement and Fining Policy and Fee Schedule.
Turn your mic.
Go ahead.
There's a hand up, so you might want to address that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Absolutely, and thanks for bringing that up. So, Stacy, you want to?
I'm Stacy Fink, acting or current president.
And Bill Pease, I'm the vice president.
Monica Milbrad, I'm member at large currently.
Juliana Supdam, secretary.
Okay. So, oh,
No, it's a good question. We probably just assume that everybody knows, and that's a bad assumption. So thanks for bringing that up.
Good morning. How are you? My name is Adam Aylard. I work over in admin. I'm the general manager.
all right. So, the final draft Fourth Amendment Covenant Enforcement Finding Policy and Fee Schedule, basically what we did here, since we changed the rule so the guests, non-motorized watercraft don't have to pay a fee, we had to go back and change that. So we change, on the schedule of fines, there's a fine that used to just say failure to check in guest watercraft, now it says motorized. Now it says failure to check out guest motorized watercraft instead of just watercraft. And the schedule of fees says any guest-owned motorized watercraft entering Holly Lake Ranch will be required to pay a non-refundable daily use fee. So this was just to clarify along with the change we made in the rules and regulations because since the fees are covered in this policy. So, in effect, that's what it does. Do we have a motion? Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then the next step is the final draft of the building and facility rental policy. We have, basically what we did is we added hangout. When the building and facility rental policy was first written, we didn't own, I don't know if you know what the hangout is. We've got Holly Hut over here, and you can rent that side, and then the other side of that building is called Holly Hangout. Well, that was owned by Holiday Inn when we got that in the property. Now we have the ability to let our members use that as well, so we added that. And in addition, we got some member feedback that our building rentals for the hut, Hangout in the House, we're only available from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We do realize there's some groups, some social groups that meet out here, and sometimes they're here till 11 or 11:30 or whatever, so we extended the meeting times, which used to stop at 10 to extend to midnight. Like I said, both of those changes were due to feedback from members, so do we have a motion to approve the final draft building and facility rental policy? Have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The last order of business is the final draft amendment to the Financial Policies and Procedures Manual. The intent of this amendment is to adopt a procedure for an annual audit of uncollectible accounts. All other provisions of the Financial Policies and Procedures remain in full force and effect. Do we have a motion to accept this policy? Or the amendment to the policy, excuse me. Have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion amongst the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have a ranch update.
So I'm going to do that. So I thought through kind of, what we really, what kind of questions we were getting, what was going on, and tried to put together a list of things to kind of talk about a little bit about what's happening. So there may be more. We're going to move to a Q&A session. There may be more questions, but this was an effort to try to, discuss some of those and provide some answers and answer the question, what's the board doing? What are we working on? So, we just received the first version of the budget. The new board members will have an opportunity, once seated, to go through that budget. We will modify that. That needs to be put in place by the first week, according to our policies, by the first week of December. So we've got some time to work on that. We honestly don't have a lot of time to work on that. If you think about it, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of discussion that's got to take place on this. That's not for you, just to know what the process is. And so we get that in a package and ready to come out to you guys and say, okay, here's what we think the budget is for the next year. And then we'll secure your feedback on that. We'll make some modifications, and then we'll adopt a budget on December the 6th, I believe is the date. So that is ongoing work right now. You'll hear more about that We'll be talking about when we're going to do updates, when it's going to come out, when you're going to get a chance for feedback, all those kind of things, okay? So that's forthcoming, but just know that that work is underway. There is always a lot of conversation about what's going on with Mr. Ho across the street. There may be more questions today. You know, for a long time, we were, you know, stating, well, he's not selling them yet, but he is now, okay? So to our knowledge, he's sold and closed on 7 or 8 of those. I'm sorry. Let me back up. So Eric Ho bought the property across the street that, you know, from Silverleaf in an auction, right? You're probably familiar with that, right? And so he went through doing some renovations and deciding what he's going to do. He worked with Wood County to make sure that he could replat that over there, and he wanted to give each person with a condo or a cabin their own little piece of land. You know, the way it was plotted before was it was a resort, you know, timeshare thing. And so now he has done that work with Wood County. Wood County has approved that plat. They've got sewer plans, water plans, electric buried. He's now repaved the roads, provided parking spots for all the people over there, okay? So now he has actively started, well, let me back up. He also set forth HOA rules, which I know caused some confusion because the name was similar to ours. But he set those and filed those with the county, so they have their rules. And a lot of people were on the list, interested parties, might want to buy one, that kind of thing. But they were waiting on the HOA rules. They were waiting on the replats and all those things. So he is actively selling now those condos and cabins individually. It's ERJC. If you go look on Wood County, I think it's JC or CJ, and that's the name of the company that actually owns it. But the association is Holly Lake Ranch Homeowners Association, I think is what he went with, which is so close to ours. It is confusing, but we don't, you know, get to name it, and he gets it approved, you know, when he puts the organization in place. Absolutely. It's a good question. It is a separate HOA. It is a separate piece of property. It is his land to do whatever, you know, it's like you bought 10 acres down the street, right? So it's his thing to do what he wants. Unfortunately, it sits behind our gate. And when he bought it, Silverleaf gave him an easement. We own the road, but he's got an easement to get to his property. And in the state, you can't cut somebody off from their property. So that they do get to come in through the gate, and they do get to traverse down the road to their property, right? But they are a separate and distinct association. They're separate people. That sounds wrong, but they're separate people. Yes, ma'am. Well, that's a fair point. So, yeah, I know. So we'll do a Q&A. You can ask. Sorry about that. Okay. So on the Ho update, he's sold 7 or 8, might be 9, but they're actively selling them, and those have been closed. Okay. Yes.
Have we started negotiations with them on a fee they're going to pay us?
Yeah. The answer is we've had some early discussions. There is no negotiation at all. Okay. No negotiation, no agreement, nothing done. So we can talk more about that. Okay. So the board, me, is working on setting up another meeting. We've had one meeting with Eric Ho as a board to get his early read on what he's doing, and that was pretty light, pretty high level. Right now, it's time to start talking a bit more. So the board, I'm trying to set up a meeting with him. He lives in Houston, so we're going through that.
You've had one. How many does the GM have?
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Let's wait. All right. And then next on the list, master plan. So, in the new board, we'll continue these discussions. But one of the things we looked at for the last several months is, you know, if we're gonna set budgets in place, and we're gonna set, more importantly, priorities for the ranch, we're gonna do A before B before C, and then we have to really have that in a plan. We have that in a plan that you guys understand, and we have to know, when does the air conditioning need to be replaced in this? When do we need to do this? What capital projects need to be done? Do we need to set aside some money for Greenbrier Dam repairs or anything else, repaving, tennis courts or pickleball courts over time, things like that. So we have to put that plan together. So that's a 5 or 10 year outlook so that when we set a budget, we have those things in mind and those priorities in mind. So that's what we're calling a master plan. Most HOAs have one, or a lot of HOAs have one. You guys can go out and read what those are and what others have put in place. So we're in the beginnings of putting that together. I personally think it's important that we get that done. So that work is underway. There's been a lot of talk, especially recently, about trust. I'm sure there'll be some questions today about trust, initiation fees. And so the current policy was put in place in 2024 for when and how initiation fees would be charged for this or that and what the exceptions to this or that might be. One of those things that was not in there was a reference to trust. What if I want to put my property in a trust? And so there's been a lot of discussion on that. We've talked about it as a board, and the new board will be revisiting that topic. Okay? All right. And then there's always a talk about audits. We need somebody to come in and look at our books. Well, we do. We have a policy that says we don't need to do it, but every few years. We do it every year. We recently had that. We'll publish those results. And we just had a feedback to the board on that audit and how did it come out. And it's Henry Myers that did it. And Henry and Peters, yeah. And so, the outcome was we've got a clean audit. They went through it and didn't find any issues. There's always notes and comments and things like that, but that came out good. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was Fall Festival. Hopefully you guys all know Fall Festival next Saturday. Hopefully everybody will come. Hopefully we'll have good weather and it won't rain. But it's usually a fun time. So that's all I got. Sorry. Oh, yes.
So we've talked a lot about North Star. We've been in the process of changing what is now Jonas, our administrative system, over into a more encompassing system that, one, is more user-friendly for members, but two, is more user-friendly for the staff as well. So it's a benefit to both. We've been through this process starting at the beginning of the year. Had intended to be live at this point, but we were just simply not ready. So we elected to, let's not do it right now, let's do it when it's right. And we are very, very close to that. The last update that we gave, our intended go-live date is November 3rd, and we're sticking with that. We've made a lot of progress over the course of the last few months. Still some small tweaks, but our intent is that last week of October, we're going to have several information sessions, and it's really a familiarization orientation type thing. So this will replace our website. There'll be a new website. There'll be a new way to pay bills. There'll be a new way to make reservations and tea times and all of those things that you can either do from the convenience of your phone, or you can come up and you can still visit us by all means at the admin office. So more to follow on that, but we intend to have several sessions that last week, and the intent behind that last week is let's make it as close as we can to go live. That way our familiarity has already been started to build, and then you'll get your sign in, and we can hopefully seamlessly transition into that. There'll be some hiccups, as with any big system upgrade, but we are trying to make it as seamless as possible for you. So.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, so next up is property owner questions and comments. I will ask that if you have a question, you come to the microphone, you tell us your name and your section, please. And make sure we try to keep it to one question per person unless.
It's not. Can you flip this?
Okay.
There you go.
Terry Haney, Section 8. Back to the question about how many times has the GM met with Mr. Ho?
I don't know that I could speak to the number of times. He probably can speak to that, but there have been some get-to-know-you sessions and discussions over there.
And why is he meeting without board members?
I can answer the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Twice. The last time was with the board. It was a scheduled meeting. The first time is a day or two after he bought the property, and I went over and sat down with him, as I've discussed several times here in this forum. And my original question was, what are you going to do? what is your plan and what is your intent? And at that point, he didn't have one. So in-person meetings, 2. I've talked to him a couple of times on the phone. He called me and asked who did our paving. He wanted to use them for paving over there. I provided him our contractor, and he elected not to use them.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Good morning.
morning.
Bill Stout, Section 4. Just another question about access to the amenities for the people that are buying the whole properties. Will they, since they're allowed to come in through an easement, does that mean that they're going to have an RF scanner that only allows them to one side? Can they go to both sides? Are all of the lakes and all the amenities available to them? And are they only available if they pay an additional HOA fee to Holly Lake Ranch?
So you want me to take that?
Yeah,
Or,
go ahead.
okay. So there is no agreement for them to have access to our amenities. There was an agreement that you guys saw that we voted on that said, on the agreement with Silverleaf to acquire the common properties, right? Was that we would negotiate in good faith with the buyer of that property for access to amenities if they chose to have access to amenities, okay? And that the fees for doing so would be similar to what we pay. That's all it says. Okay, and you guys can go read those words. They're out there. In practice, it's been emphasized that, I don't know, some of you probably went over and had, Eric Ho's got somebody sitting in that office over there, Angie Householder, who's actually a member, and her husband are also on the board for that association. So she is Eric Ho's point person here to go talk about selling those properties and all those kind of things. And she has been asked a number of times by me, and we've discussed what they're telling those members, because obviously I share everybody's concern. We've had this concern since the property went up for sale. So they are not telling them they have access to anything. They're telling them they don't. They'll have access to what they have over there, which is right now an empty pool and a grass growing on the putt-putt. But they do intend to have those amenities, and so that's what they're telling those folks over there, okay? Anybody can go over there and talk about buying one of those properties and find out directly, if you want to, what they're telling them, right? So, I'd encourage you to go talk to her and see what they're selling them for, and maybe tour one, that kind of thing. So that's where it stands right now. We do have, to Terry's question, where we at on this negotiation. At some point, if they choose, there will be a negotiation on what those fee structures look like, what the access will look like, all of that kind of stuff. Now, as to access, when they get through that gate, they're through the gate. The way we sit right now, they're through the gate, okay? And I don't believe the current system will allow for differentiation between that gate and this gate through ABDI. So the North Star system, the expectation is we will have the ability to restrict access. But it is a huge concern. It's a concern by all of us, and it's a concern, I know, by all of you. Everybody on the ranch is concerned about what goes on over there, and it should be, right? Because it's unfortunately sitting inside a gated community, and that is unusual at best. And so I guess I would just say we share the concern. We're working on it. We'll get to a different place at some point, but that's where we are right now. Hopefully that answered the question. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Greg Demko, Section 4. I have a few questions,
Yes, sir.
and I'm not looking for any answers. What I'm
Okay.
presenting is ideas and thoughts, both mine and things I've heard from the residents about future, budgets, et cetera. So again, I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just going to present this stuff and let the new board work it out and hopefully initiate some of this stuff. One of the things is job applications for general manager and the CPA. It seems that we've had people kind of walk up to the front door, people that are having other jobs out here are getting our general manager's job. It seems to me that it would be advantageous from the residents' point of view to go out and get applications. Now, if they're not as good as what we have, that's fine, but utilize that.
Can I stop you, can I ask, I'm not sure I understood you. So
Go
you're
out and get
saying we're getting applications, do you mean people are just coming in and saying, you know, I would like to apply? Is that your
No,
question?
they haven't done that. They were
Okay.
just here and got the job.
Oh, you're saying kind of promote from within, that kind of thing? Is that your point?
To a degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to understand it.
Chain of command out here. Chain of command, I know in the military, it's all done by your rank. Here, it seems that, and I think this last election kind of indicated that our chain of command from top down is the general manager, board, and then residents. I think that's backwards. I think we need to give a real, and I know you just did some things where you listened to the residents and made some changes on, for the amendments, and that's great. But the transparency needs to pick up. The restaurant, parking lot, trash. We used to have somebody, I think his name was Dave, that was hired to go around and pick up trash. He knew where to go. He knew the areas that, where trash occurred, which is generally around the restaurant area. And I'm telling you, for 2 months, because I walked that twice a day, and there was trash everywhere. And I'm not gonna bother you with the list of stuff. I could, but they evidently were kind of bulldozing that the other day, and somebody did pick up some trash. But there's still some there. You know, we had that guy. He was good. Why? Why did the general manager get rid of him? Not a good idea. I mean, that says at our front gate, you know, keep the Holly Lake Ranch beautiful. You know, we
He
need to think about
retired,
that.
Greg. Dave retired. Our general manager didn't get rid of him, he retired.
But, yeah, well, I mean, replace him,
Oh, okay, well,
you know? I mean, work groups, we've had work groups for years. When I was on the board, I had 5 of them in 2 years. We have great people out here that care and are knowledgeable and work their butts off. And they volunteered, put out a notice, they wanted to get involved with the subject, did a great job. All 5 things were very successful. Well, we had a work group. What do we have? We don't have any work groups now, basically. We have committees, 3 of them, but work groups. I know ideas come in from the residents, and they're great. And that's that transparency. Why aren't we hearing about these things? Why aren't we good? We had a work group for the lake. What happened to them? Disbanded. Not them. Admin. These are people that live on the lake, know the lake, knowledgeable. Yeah, we have a contractor that does all the fancy stuff, weed killing and spraying and whatever, but these are people that know what's going on. I mean, work groups, important. I get there's people salivating out here that would love to get involved. Tennis court, you mentioned that for your upcoming budget. Well, for decades, the tennis court has been a single item on the budget. We've had 1 or 2, well, we had 4 courts, now we only have 3, but we used to get 1 or 2 courts done every year. 2 years now, we haven't done court 1. There are 13 holes in that thing. They tried to patch it. The patches came up. And now, in the budget, it says pickleball/tennis. It should be 2 separate items. Keep it separate. And for goodness sake, get tennis in next year's budget. We need court 1 repaired. It looks like heck. Bocce, I've been trying to get bocce. How many years? 5, 6 years. I get told to be in the budget, might work on $100, $200. I mean, 2 years ago, you redid the pickleball, or the putting course, putt-putt. You bought new boards, new carpet, a couple more boards and a couple more feet of carpet. You got the bocce. It's right out there. The concrete's laying there. Get it done. I had a guy come up to me the other day. Knows I've been working on it. Well, not very well. But What about bocce? He said, I'll get a crew together and we'll do it. Again, work group, great, all right. Come on, doesn't cost that much, it's sitting right out there. We had 68 people said they were interested in a survey. The last one was, not the last one, but one that went out. 68 people, residents, that would love to do it. One of the residents, a couple of years ago, donated a set of bocce courts. They're sitting out there in the shed. Why not? 19th hole grill. There's a grill next there, sitting there. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when Amy and Stewart were managing it for 2 years, they were told that they would fix that in January, the second year. Wasn't done. Why? I mean, I cleaned it. I know what's needed in there. Yeah, we spent $1,600 to repair it back then. Yeah, the burners are bad. Either get rid of the darn thing or use it. Election committee. Holly Lake Ranch is a special place. Most of us bought out here because of the beauty, the ambiance. Yeah, it's rural. Yeah, it's neat. It's special. To run for the board, and I've had a lot of people give me positive feedback on this, make it 5 years. You have to live here for 5 years to get on the board. Be knowledgeable of the ranch. You can't get on the board hoping to learn. Oh, we got volunteers to run.
I doubt that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, been there. Anyway, just food for thought, okay? 5 years. Make it simple. We have defibrillators around here. Anybody know where they're at? If an emergency? That should be posted. Every once in a while, put it out in a blast or whatever, where they're at. And how are they recharged? How often? It'd be kind of important to know. I mean, obviously they're around most of our activity areas, but put notice out. Now you talked about Ho, thank you. Believe it or not, last but not least, how many times have I been trying to get a tree farm out here? We got the area out at the stables. We got water out there. We can raise our own trees. We lose over 200 trees a year out here, and now we own a lot more land out here. Raise trees. In a couple of years, and I've got it all budgeted out. I mean, now it's changed a little bit over time, but where to get them, everything. It might be a good work group too, heaven forbid. People that actually love to do that kind of stuff, all right? Get them involved. I had 2 sales out here with a local tree grower, the big one up there on 49, and we put out a flyer. We had 6 selections of trees. We sold a ton of trees. I mean, people need them, want them. Twice we sold them. Well, heck, if we have our own nursery, we could sell some trees. You know, after they start growing, after 2 or 3 years, make some money back from the water bill. It's not that difficult. I know change is inevitable, all right? But why at the cost of us moving here and what we expected the place to be? The beauty, the trees, etc. I know, believe me, I know money is relatively tight at times, and we've got it. You know, we look at the big side budgets. You got to go from A to B and A to Z. Look at all of it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Greg.
Hello, Bart Elin.
Morning, Bart.
Section 9. A hot topic just came up. Someone contacted me about it, and I'm hoping it's just an oversight. This changing or putting your home in a trust
Right.
has come up recently where the board wants, I don't know, the board, Adam, whoever just made that decision of charging another $7,500 fee. I'm hoping, assuming that y'all didn't just this was an oversight, and we need to go back and look at that and say, maybe that's not a good idea. It's a lot of money. And your simple homeowner is putting it in a trust. Why not say, okay, well, we're not gonna charge you $75 to put it in a trust, but upon your death, the new person that gets your house, they would have to pay the $7,500 to become a member. But right now, as it stands, you're gonna charge, it doesn't bother me, it might not bother Mark or you guys, but it might bother the lady, the older lady, the widow, that feels like she needs to put her stuff in trust, that can't afford the $7,500. So is this something you guys
that's-
are saying,
that-
hey, we need to look at that and figure that out?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I assume you were in here when I talked about trusts a few minutes ago. You may not.
I'm
have
sorry, I
been.
wasn't,
You
I guess.
might have missed. That's okay, that's okay. So trust, we're gonna revisit.
Okay.
It was put in place in 2024. So in the newsletter, right, because of the questions that we received, we put our clarification in the newsletter. So it's clear to me that the perception is that was a new rule. Okay, because you saw it front page on the newsletter. But it wasn't a new rule. It's been in place since 2024.
No, I
Okay?
agree with that.
And there are exceptions to that, and transfer on death is one of those. Okay, so there is no fee for
No,
that, right?
Right, that's what we have.
And so what we need to look at is clarifying that, because when it was put in place in 2024, trust wasn't an exception. It wasn't, looked at in that way. But we've had a lot of questions on it, so we need to clarify it. There are some, as with anything else, there's always the detail, right?
Absolutely.
There's ways to put something, whether it's a trust or an LLC, this, right? And then just change the LLC members and nothing ever changes over, 20 years, never gets paid even though 5 people lived in the house kind of thing, right? So we need to be careful that on a change, on a legitimate, I'll call it a legitimate change, that there is a legitimate fee, just like everybody else pays, right? But not a fee necessarily for everything when it didn't change. And so that becomes
Absolutely.
very complicated. The other thing is there's more than one kind of trust. There's more than one way to do this, right? And so what we want to do is step back and take all of those things into account and make a decision.
Okay, thanks.
And so that's what the board will do.
Candace Sessom, Section 7. You don't have to reinvent the wheel for this trust question, okay?
Okay?
And a testamentary trust, a living trust, or a family trust, there's already a process for this. The state of Texas defines how a beneficial ownership trust is created. A homeowner who puts their property into a living family trust in certain guidelines doesn't have to pay a homestead, doesn't lose their homestead exemption, because the state recognizes that that person is still the beneficial owner of that property. So, and I really think your exemption already covers this. It's an inheritance. If it's a living trust that a family creates, all they're doing is defining their inheritance. They're still the same people who are inheriting the property when the person dies. So I think your exemption technically can cover it. You need to clarify it, but I think it already covers it. So I would encourage you to talk to those people who are saying they've already been charged that fee, to revisit that and see if that was proper, because I think it was not. It is still an inheritance. I agree with what you're saying. An LLC trust, that's different, but an inheritance, a living trust, or a family trust is a totally different animal, and it's already defined.
I would agree. There's lots of variables on this, and you're
Right.
right. One is not like the other,
Right.
right? Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's a fair point.
Gary Green, Section 4.
I'm sorry?
Gary Green's my name.
Hey, Gary.
I live in Section 4 over there. Had some good conversations today. Y'all talked about the road work, the pickleball, possibly the tennis courts. That's all great. I drive on the roads. I actually play pickleball. I hadn't heard anything said about the drainage issues. I know I've talked in depth. I've sent emails to the board with answer solutions that were done by engineers that worked at Holly Lake on the drainage issues. And one or two of you I've talked to on the phone have called me about it. I've met with Adam a couple times. The drainage coming off of number 2 is washing right down the creek where y'all had to fix it down there at the lake. It's washing our back out. We've already had one tree that Adam sent somebody out to cut up that fell. The golf course came out and found about, and I don't quote me, 4 or 5 more that the roots are getting washed out. They're gonna fall. So I just was wondering where the drainage issues. I've been told, and like I said, I actually talked to the engineers that work for Holly Lake on the drainage issues. They were, fast forward about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, I travel with my job, so I'm gone a lot. They were gonna come out, the board or somebody was gonna come out, we were gonna walk and look at it. Crickets, hadn't heard a word.
Okay. Well, drainage is a big issue. I couldn't agree more.
But my backyard is falling in at the moment.
We've got a lot of
Trees are
hills.
fixing to fall on my house, and then that's gonna be a bigger issue. And like I said, I know some of the engineers have talked to you guys.
Yeah.
I actually submitted in writing verbatim what they told me to do. Crickets.
Okay. I don't know if you want to comment on that, any of that, Adam.
So we did have John come out. I know you and I have been back and forth in email. My recollection, I think we reached out, and last we'd spoke, you were going to be gone for a while, and we haven't reconnected since that point. But the intent was we were going to come out and walk the property. I think was the last request I'd made, is when is a good time that we can come out and walk the property? And I'd requested that you pull the property stakes so we can see where that is. But happy to do that at your convenience.
I'm leaving from here, going home.
Okay.
I travel with my job. I'm one of the few out here that actually work. I travel a lot, so during the week it's sometimes hard for me. I mean,
There's probably more
it
than
is what it is.
There's probably more than you think.
Well,
Just
in the
guessing.
circle I run in, I'm the one that still works.
Yeah.
And I travel. I'm gone for 3 or 4 days a week, a lot of times, so. But it's to the point now, trees are gonna fall. You can
Yeah.
actually see roots. We walked it with one of the engineers. We walked it several times. It's coming from 3 different places from from the golf course and
Yep.
2 from that distinct hole. You and I talked about it. The whole board knows there's issues with that because you've done some other things with it. As we're talking, there's fixing to be trees fall on my house. Next big rain comes, then I don't know what's gonna happen after that.
Can we
It's
touch
something
base?
that needs to be rectified pretty quick.
Can you and I touch base after this
Absolutely.
meeting, sir? Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I would say about just drainage in general is it can be a pretty big budget item. It's kind of like roads, you know. There are issues, no question. And whatever we put in that line item, we'd spend. I mean, there's enough to do on the drainage, so it's a big issue. It is recognized, it's just a question of, it's gonna end up
Gotta
being.
wait
it's-
till that trees
Well,
fall on
no,
my house?
I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying at some point you prioritize, right? In other words, I can't fix it all, from a drainage standpoint, but we need to prioritize. So that would be my
If a
2
tree's
cents.
falling on a house
I
soon.
hear you,
I mean, that's,
I hear you. No, I'm not discounting that at all. I was making a broader statement about the drainage as a line item.
correct. And this has been going on for, and don't quote me if I'm wrong, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, 2 or 3 months, several months.
Right.
And it just keeps going on cricket deaf ears. And like I said, I've had engineers that work for the board come out,
Okay,
propose things, and
okay,
nothing.
all right.
Hello, my name's Gary McGahan. I live in Section 4, and I might be this, and I'm sure you're probably the one that can tell me this. I have an issue on. Oh, you can't hear it? Okay. You might be the one. I was a property owner before, so now this is my second property. We closed on the same day. But y'all charged me for not closing on the same day. So do I bring that up here, or is that supposed to be administratively?
So I'd love to see the documents. If there's a point where you and I can get together, I'd love to see those documents. What the policy states right now is if you close, and I think the word simultaneous is in there, if there's a simultaneous transfer of current property to new property, by the way that the bylaws are written, you maintain your membership. That's a $50 transfer fee. If it is the day after to 90 days, then it's a reinstatement fee of $50 or of $500.
Yes, that's
If
what they charge
after
me.
90 days, then at that point, you're subject to the full initiation fee.
Well, I'll just get with you afterwards. I don't want to, do all the details.
Sure.
Okay, super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny Sessoms, Section 72330 Old Gate Path. There, I think, is a great disconnect between yourselves, the general manager, and ours as a population. I'm going to use an illustration to lead up to what I'm talking about. Last December, I came up to this board raising all kinds of cane about the washout at the end of my street, which had occurred 5 of the 7 years that I've lived here and watched the berm and watched the road wear out. I have to say, in July of this year, we finally got that road filled in, okay? There's still problems down there, and it still looks terrible. But I would submit to you this, if we can spend innumerable hours out there spray painting the road to give you a suggestion of here's what needs to be done, why don't we, in lieu of that, go ahead and address the problem at the time, okay? That's my deal here, okay? Having been around here long enough and interacted with him, I met him down there one day to try to give him some viewpoints of somebody who grew up in construction like that. And at the end of that, I said, you were in the service, I was too. Why don't we do this? Why don't we create a captain of every section on this ranch, to use a military jargon, and then have every street in that section represented by somebody who can convey, here's what I'm seeing, good, bad, or indifferent here, okay? I don't see the employees as a rule. The only one I can comment on besides the general manager is the guy who mows the pasture over there, Johnny, who does a really good job in what he does. I don't ever see anybody else working in my area over there, and the street out in front of my house is the same way as it was when I moved in there. They dumped a lot of asphalt on it twice, and both times it lasts less than a month. They drive off, and it's back to where it was. There's no reason for that not to be done in a satisfactory manner expeditiously. That's the thing that's bothersome to me. Now, I live next to that field over there, and it bothers me when I come out there and walk in that field and I see a U.S. flag hanging up out there that's hung around that pole up there where nobody has taken the opportunity, employee, board, community, etc., to get out there and unfurl that thing so it doesn't look like an embarrassment, okay? That's the thing. We should be proud enough of that not to let that flag hanging up there like it is currently, okay? Let's get our act together. Let's get these things to happen so that we don't have to continuously come in here about every 6 months and raise all kinds of hell to try to get something constructively executed on the ranch, okay? Thank you.
So, just a question, Danny. So, sorry, just a question. So, do we know where that flag is? I don't.
Yes, sir.
Is that in the
It
RV area
It
or
is the
somewhere?
memorial garden
Okay.
out there that was constructed by
right.
DAR. That's where we do our dignified flag retirements.
Okay, I just want to know where it was. Thank you. That's it.
Good morning, Lisa Brock, Section 2. Last night we came home late, and the main pickleball court lights were off. It was 11:30, but the tennis court and other pickleball lights were really bright, and there's nobody on the courts. and I know I've sent in to feedback, can we not put timers like we used to at the high school where you'd go up and you'd push the button and it'd go on for 30
Yep.
minutes and then
Yep.
it'd go off? And then I also thought that horrible light pollution over there, and yet what I missed the most, and the one thing that we loved when we looked out here, was the lights on Holly Hut. The lights shining on the lake and coming across that bridge. I miss that so much, and I would love to be able to light up Holly Hut again. I know the lights got old and they got taken down, but maybe somewhere in our budget, we can put some lights on Holly Hut again, because it's a good light pollution, unlike that, which is just a really bad light pollution. But I'd really like to see if we can get timers so that, the bugs and everything else aren't so bad over there.
Good. Adam, you want to speak to the timers? Yes, sir. Because that's been worked.
So we are actively working on that, Lisa. So the intent would be that each major court, so you've got the pickleball court area over there, you have courts 1 and 2, and then court 3, and the other pickleball courts. So 3 major areas. 1 light would stay on at all times. I think that's important for safety measures in case the timer goes out while somebody's playing, they're not left in pitch black. So the intent would be 1 light would be there, it would be a dusk to dawn light, and everything else would be a 60-minute timer. So we are actively working to get that, and hopefully we can get it in the budget this year. But at this point, we don't know what the cost is going to be.
If a group would want to do a fundraiser or something to get the lights back on Holly Hall, would that be a possibility that you would allow us to put them back on there?
So we priced, so the lights that were on there, I mean,
They were Christmas lights.
We're talking temporary Christmas lights that are meant for the use and enjoyment of about 30 days a year. They were up since I've been here, and that's going on 4.5 years. The sockets were rotten, it was a fire hazard, it was all those things. We said, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. And what right, I think, looks like, not necessarily my decision, but my recommendation would be what right would look like is LED lights. Put stripped LED lights up there that are meant to be all weather, outside, all the time. But that's gonna be, I think the quote that we got was over $10,000. So
Right.
I don't know that that is a good use of homeowner funds.
I don't know.
And that quote was obtained by a member. A member provided us that quote. We didn't go out
The
and solicit
east side
that
has
quote.
their little fountain with the lights, and we kind of
Yep.
had that.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I always looked forward to coming home was that. So, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I like that.
It's not just you,
yeah.
okay? It's not just you.
Okay.
It'll get looked at.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
David Perez, I live on Rolling Ridge. 2 things I wanted to ask. The first one being the access to Ho's property, which I think y'all have addressed, that it is a serious problem, or potentially a serious problem, of people coming
Correct.
in and out of our gate that are not members of our HOA.
Right.
So if I'm not mistaken, there's an access road prior to the gate road that
There-
leads up to those buildings.
There is.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure, but I'm sure that Mr. Ho has a few dollars behind him
More than a
that
couple.
could develop that road and possibly go on beyond where he needs to be with his own gate without having access to our gate and our property. Has this been brought up to him or addressed that it could be a possibility he can do this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So in the meeting that we had that Adam referenced, we've met once with him, when he kind of laid out his plan. And we talked about, interest in, amenity access, because that's the quite big question, right? Because, or not, is the question, right? And he doesn't know. From that meeting, he doesn't know, okay? He wasn't far enough along in sales or anything else, right? So, you know, it was mentioned, you know, if he decided to access that way, there are some things he would have to do, because the land drops significantly. And if you've ever gone down Lylesville Road, and I'm sure you have, the sand washes out and everything else, right?
Yes.
So there's a, he'd have to build a bridge or do something to get across that to get back to the other property. And so, he's not sure what he wants to do. So, he knows that in his contract, he's got an access, and we can't take that away. So in answer to your question, could he do that? He could, but he'll need to choose to, right? He'll have to choose to give up that access through the gate on the Holly Trail East. Does that make sense? We can't make him.
Access to that, is that not, I mean, is that said and done, it can never be taken away from him? Or is there
It's
a
a
legal way
deed.
to force him to take care of his own property without intrusion into our properties?
It's a deed easement. So if you bought a piece of property and had a driveway that, I don't know, bled over onto your neighbor and you had an easement there, you've got an easement. It's in the deed, filed with the deed.
No,
to do
I
that,
understand how easements work.
Right.
My question is, it's not that he's incapable of doing what he needs to do to get his.
I would agree with that. He could also, he
you
owns
know.
all the land down Lylesville Road. I mean, he could put his own access in there and cut the whole, he could
There
do
you
all
go.
those things, no
There you go.
question.
So there is an answer to it. It's whether or not the board and this association is willing to put him to the test if he will do that and without accessing our property.
We are willing to have that conversation in earnest, in detail.
Okay?
But you know and I know that if he's got that easement, he has to be okay with giving it up. So will we work to try to find a scenario that allows that? If he says, I don't want to have access to the amenities, I just want to do my own thing over here. If he said that, right? Then you got to start saying, okay, well, then his people are coming through the front gate. Do we need to put up, you know, a gate, which is expensive, right? Put up another gate down at Golf Drive, put up a gate going across the Greenbrier Dam, put up a gate going to Greenbrier Trail, right?
Right.
And so we would have to do all those things. We don't want to do all those things if we don't know what's going to happen yet. But do we want to find a solution to that? Absolutely. And you can count on the fact that we're going to have that conversation.
All right.
So, but it's a hard problem.
I understand. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a difficult
It's a hard problem. If we just owned it. So.
My second question is, or suggestion, I should say. The second year I was here, I became a marshal out on the golf course.
Okay.
And unbeknownst to me at the time, but one of the benefits of being a marshal was that I didn't have to pay my golf dues for the months for that year, as long as I worked all year long. You know, I'd work 5, 6, 8 hours a week, depending on 2 hours here, 3 hours there, whatever. And as of right now, all of the marshals that work here on the golf course don't pay dues, which I think is a fair thing because they're giving up their time to help the golf course. Well, in that aspect of the question is, I personally think the volunteer work that the board members do here, because it is all volunteer, except for I personally think your monthly dues to this association should be waived. That's my personal suggestion. Then that's just me, okay? That's just me. Have a nice day.
I personally, speak for me, I'm okay with the way it is.
I understand,
So,
I understand.
but-
I just think it would be a
Appreciate the
good,
thought.
I just think it'd be a good reward for people who are willing to give up their time
Yeah.
and their knowledge and their effort to help this association. That's just a very small item to reflect, that show you that we appreciate it.
I agree.
Anyway, have
So,
a nice day.
Thank you. We'll get
Thank you.
some free popcorn at the Fall Festival. No charge popcorn or lemonade. Good morning.
Good morning. Dave Evans, Section 4. Just to preface my remark, one wrinkle between the registration building, the old registration building where the parking lot is, they're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yes.
and the condos is a huge ravine, 40, 50 feet deep.
Correct.
It'd be hundreds of thousands to cross that with a road. So it's not just a matter of putting down some asphalt, just to answer his question on that one.
Okay.
If this is okay. I do rise in defense of maintenance crew. Dave Grover and I worked on a lot of projects together. I did a drainage study in 17, 18 with Mr. Allen. And then I did a pavement study in 2019 and looked at every street and submitted a report. But I asked Dave Grover, what do you do and how many men do you have to do this? He gave me a list, and I would ask everybody, how many people work in maintenance? You probably don't know. That's to cut all the grass, maintain the roads, cut trees, sweep the parking lot, sweep the beach, set up chairs.
Sweep the beach.
Golly, the 42 miles of roads. So all this work.
75.
And 75?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
It depends how you measure it. Okay. I was taking the width. Okay. So I was taking square yards. So then, golly, sweeping the tennis courts, all painting, plumbing, HVAC, all the little repairs, set light bulbs. So all this work for the entire ranch. How many people does it take? They only have 8 people to do all that work. No, what? And we say, well, we got to raise dues. Oh, no, can't do that, to hire more people. So I come in defense of maintenance. I work with Dave Grover, he was great. Jeff Griggs does a great job. So I defend them. They're special, they do a great job. Dave Painter, I saw him the other day. He's enjoying retirement, so thank you for that. But no, I don't think he was replaced, because that was a job we had to scatter off to other people. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Good. Thanks, Dave. Cut you off.
I'm Jane Britt. I live in Section 6. One of the things I wanted to comment about is there's some great roads out there. There are. I get out there in my little scooter cart and I go along and I check them all out. But they're on Valleywood Trail west of the entrance. They had gone in and done some patchwork. That's more like rumble strips. It's terrible. I grew up in the country on a gravel road, and you knew to go left here, go right here, go left here. And that's exactly how I got home, because the road is just not satisfactory. And it does need to be addressed sooner than later.
You're talking about Holly Trail East? Was that the
Valleywood
question?
Trail.
Valleywood Trail. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
live in Section 6.
I know, I bought my first house in 6. I just didn't catch that part on 6. Okay.
The second thing I wanted to address is I don't know what's going on with the gate, but it is consistently drooping. And that's where it is. That's what state it's in right now. So they come back, they level it. I don't know what's happening with it, but I do think it needs to be addressed as well. Thirdly, I have started a Section 6 community group, and it's just wonderful. November 1st, we're going to have a get-together just for Section 6. Sorry. But it's going to be lovely because we are out there by ourselves. I think that we do need to come together as a community. We need to discuss things like, do you know your neighbor? Do we know who's out here that might need some additional help if something were to go wrong? And I'm not just talking about electricity. I'm talking about something as catastrophic as a fire or what have you. But do we know one another? And also, as a section, I think we do a great job of keeping our community clean. We decorate, and we are friendly and kind. And I think that each section, someone had mentioned it earlier, I think it would be a benefit if there was someone that just got to know their community and brought them together. Now, I know our section is not as large as some of the others, say 4, where they might need several people to break it up into subsections. But I think what we're going to, when we meet on November 1st, I think that's going to be a good thing. It's a potluck, chili cook-off kind of thing. We're all just going to get to know each other and maybe do this about every 4 months. But I think coming together as a community is really important because I love Holly Lake. I know everyone, a good many of us, we've moved out here because of how lovely it is. So I just want to keep up the good work, and if we could address the road, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Ms. Brett.
I,
Thank
I
you.
did hear, you guys put up a Facebook page too, I think, right? I think that's the, I think didn't Section 3 set up a Facebook as well? Does anybody know that? I'd heard they did. I think. Are they? Perfect. And I think getting together is great, and, you know, maybe, you know, we use that opportunity, especially if there's free food, that, you know, we might crash the party and listen to some things, you know, so. Oh, no. Okay. Man, that wasn't even subtle. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Michael Mancini, Section 5. I just have a
Morning,
question,
Michael.
and I just kind of know whose decision it was. So not everybody here is retired, and we do our business during the week. The office is closed from 12 to 1, and people have lunch, they can't come do business because the office is closed from 12 to 1. And then on the weekends, you're closed. So my question is there a reason, what was the logic behind that? If I could get an explanation on that, because I've come over here in the past, and I used to work for security, as you guys know, but I've left. And I was able to do work because I worked during the week, but for people that have jobs and they have an hour, they have a lunch break between 12 and 1, they live in Hawkins, they can't even come here and do their work because they've already, you guys are closed. So can we get some knowledge or some feedback on why that and whose decision that was? Because it's kind of frustrating for folks.
I don't know the answer. Adam, you want to speak to that?
Decisions, I don't know. It's been that way since I've been here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Martha?
You have a question? I'm sorry, I'm just wondering why.
That's fine. I was on the finance committee for several years. They did a trial for about 6 months of opening it at lunch. I think maybe 2 people showed up in 6 months. So that's the reason that they quit doing it. Now, if you want to go back and revisit that, get somebody to volunteer, because they rotated. It was a rotary thing. But nobody, I mean, almost nobody showed up. I'm just saying you ask why. I didn't make the decision. I was just on the committee and heard what they had to say. That's the reason they decided to go back to the way it was. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it was a good decision or a bad decision. You ask why, I'm telling you that was the reason why. I think Monica may have been on the board at that time and knows about that too.
Okay.
Well, it just, if we could maybe
Thanks, Martha.
revisit that, because I know for security, we don't close down from 12 to 1. We rotate our lunches, like one officer would take it between 12 and 12:30 and then 12:30 to 1. So that way you guys have security there at 24/7. So if we could revisit that, because maybe 2 people showed up back then and now it's just out that they're not open between 12 and 1, so no one's coming by. But I've gone by a couple of times and people, when I was working security, they'd ask me, why is it closed? And I didn't have an answer for them. And, you know, security, they do reach out to us for a lot of questions and we don't have answers because we don't know why the decisions are made. So if you guys could just revisit that, thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. You run up there before he gets cut off.
AJ, John Trude, Section 4. I come dressed for work, ready to go. It's a great day to be here today. Got a thing going here with Mr. Hope. There's a little incentive that you could pass by him. I want to ask.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Do I got to get closer?
You
My
bet.
hearing aids are going like.
Or turn it towards you. Perfect.
Wow.
Is that better?
Here we go.
Do it.
Thank you. Does Mr. Hull pay anything for a road upkeep? Okay. Well, you could take and assess each one of his residents $100 a month, and then he might have an incentive to take and get another road in there.
So, you speak for me, you guys
Sure,
pipe
go
in,
right ahead.
but I don't know I don't know how we would do that. We can't assess his people anything. That's the problem. I love the idea. I'd love for him to pay.
He's using your road.
Well,
He
but
is,
he
and
bought that property, and part of that purchase was an easement along our roads.
Right.
There wasn't an easement along our roads, and we can charge him for that. He was given in his purchase, in his sales contract, legally access through our roads. So we can't just randomly charge him. We have no legal leg to stay him.
Sit. Yeah, come up. Okay.
Are done? Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
No, it's really a great day.
Okay,
We got 2 new board members coming on,
absolutely.
and it's a wake-up call for the rest of the board members.
Thanks, AJ.
That's all right.
My name is Barbara Perez.
Closer.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Barbara Perez. Again, I don't know what section I'm in. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I have a question about Mr. Ho. The fact that his people and he are utilizing not only our roads, but our security. I mean, we are bearing the brunt. I mean, it's going to impact us tremendously on how many people are coming in and out, and who's going to take care of hiring, who's going to take, I mean, there's going to be added costs. And has that already been factored in? I'm not talking about eliminating, because you can't with an easement.
Right.
But are we going to get some kind of benefit from this, from him? I mean,
Well,
just out of curiosity, because our roads, our security people, all of our amenities, our grounds people, everybody's impacted by this.
I share all of that, absolutely.
So I just want to
I'm
know
with
if
you.
there's some kind of payback that we as residents are going to see from this, just out of curiosity.
So-
Because nobody said anything to us.
If he said, I mean, he'd go either way. He could say, I don't want to play on the amenities, or I want to play on the amenities, right? So just on the, I would like to have amenity access, then they will pay fees, and those fees would certainly come to us and cover some of those
Yeah,
costs,
but
right?
I'm not even talking
Not-
amenities.
I know.
I'm talking just.
I know, I get you. But then if he says, I'm not gonna, or in the case where it doesn't matter, they're still gonna be riding on the roads, we don't have a way today to charge him for that. So will we be encouraging him to understand that he is going through security? That it is gonna create longer lines? It is gonna impact us? It's an impact on the road? Absolutely.
Our grounds people, our
Absolutely.
security.
Right.
Everybody's impacted
So,
all the
yep.
way around. And as a
I agree.
resident, I don't feel secure because I don't know this man. I don't know how
I
he
know.
vets the people he lets in here. So how do I feel secure as a resident?
Right.
And part of my dues go to help pay for security. So how is that fair for us as residents when this man gets everything and he doesn't have to bear the cost of anything? That's not right. So somebody needs to work some costs into him, because that's just, I mean, as a resident,
We will
I'm
certainly
sorry.
try to do that,
sorry.
right? I mean, unfortunately, well, we can't charge him for access to the road that he
Then put it
legally
at-
has access to.
Then put it under something else. Charge him something else. Come up with a figure.
Don't misunderstand.
And-
We're gonna work the issue.
Sorry.
No. Don't misunderstand. We're gonna work the issue. But, on some of these issues, we've kinda got, an arm tied behind our back, because he does have an easement, he does have access. So, do we want him to understand that? Yeah. When he started bringing in logging trucks, you guys all saw the explosion over there in the forest, right?
Yeah.
And so, when he started bringing in logging, that was about the time that we had this very first meeting with him, right over here in this room, okay? And the discussion was, if your big trucks damage our road, you're gonna pay for it. And he said, yes.
No, not they. You
No, no.
let them in, but you, I mean, they're not a normal truck, so why would you not charge them more for coming in? They may not cause a pothole now, but maybe, constant use.
I agree. Big trucks
So,
cause damage. I agree with you.
I mean, common sense
We
here
just have to
says a
work the
lot.
issue with him, right? We just have to work the issue with him. I don't have the answer on it, but we just have to work the issue. That's all I can say.
Bonnie Anderson, Section 4. So with all this going on with Ho, are the new residents of his HOA at least going to be required to have the RFID tag to come and go?
Today, what they do is they go see Angie over there. Angie has a line of communication security and they get a week pass. That's what they get today. Unless you're aware of any RFIDs, I'm not aware of any.
So we basically don't know anything, really,
Well,
about who's coming in or why they're coming in or what.
we know that those residents over there, remember, when they go get that tag, they have to show their driver's license and all that stuff. So we do know who's coming in, right? But Angie provides a list that says you bought unit number 122, right?
Okay.
And then you go over there to security and you get a tag.
So now
and
you
go
call
in.
Angie and say, I have a guest coming in, and then she calls the guard shack and says, we
Correct.
have a guest coming in for the person here, and
That,
it gets really complicated and
I
messy.
agree, yes.
So,
Did you
and we
have
have no legal recourse because we signed all our rights away.
We didn't sign our rights away. The problem is, and just to back up, so Silverleaf owned the resort.
I know.
Okay, but Silverleaf also owned the road. So Silverleaf wrote a contract with Eric Ho, and they owned both sides of that. They owned the road, the access road that they gave him on his easement, and they owned the resort. And when they sold that, they gave him that.
So we can move our
then-
entrance, and then what? They can have that one if we want to be
If
secure?
we moved our entrance somewhere else, no, there's no obligation. We can do.
But I mean, we could.
We could.
And then we have our own security that they can't
Correct.
come through.
We could, but they have access on that road, so we'd have to put ours somewhere else.
Blocks along the way.
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
but, yeah, it's a hard problem.
My name is Steve Higdon, Section 2. Something happened earlier. A lady was asking about the lights around the small building. Were we correct in hearing you tell us, Adam, it would cost $10,000 to put those around that building again? Did we hear that correctly?
I received a quote from a member. I have not solicited any quotes. A member sent me a quote and said if we wanted to redo that, and I don't remember the exact cost. I think it was even more than that, but it was astronomical.
Do you really believe that $10,000 is required to put those?
I do not.
No.
Thank you, I
do not,
appreciate that.
no.
Okay, let's get that one out of the way. Second thing is Danny Jackson, and I don't really trust him anymore because of this, but 4 or 5 years ago, he put me on the appraisal review board. And then for the last
The
3
what?
years, the appraisal review board
Okay.
for Wood County. I've been watching all this
okay.
stuff go on inside our county. And things about when you make deals, like you've been talking about, when you've got these easements, what you might want to take a look at is when he changed the name of his company, to that HOA, the deal with the easement was made with Ho. It was not made with that HOA. That changes the dynamic of the easement. I've run into that multiple times in dealing with this. And it depends on the lawyer, whatever, but you can kill that easement because he's no longer Ho's corporate, he's changed the name. So keep that in mind. There are ways that this can be dealt with. You just gotta find yourself a lawyer that's gonna do what you need them to do, not what Ho needs them to do. It's a battle. I've had them in front of us, and they will go at each other. But what we know by the law is that the easement is given to the individual that's made in the deal, not by the individual that he turns it into later. Easements aren't there forever. In fact, we've had people come in with hundreds of acres of land that had an easement there for 30 years. New buyers come on and say, I don't apply myself to that easement anymore. You don't get it.
Yeah.
And we have the people come in and say, you're appraising my property at this, and they say, well, we can't get into it anymore. And we had to look at it from that point of view. Is the value of that property the same now that he can't get easement in there because the person who gave the easement had taken it away because of the purchase? So be sure that when you say you can't do something, I've watched it for 4 years. You can do anything you want if you're willing to go for it and do it.
Okay.
So that's the only one I'd just say. This thing with him, he bought it on a bid in the middle of the damn
He did.
night because nobody else wanted it. In fact, he even said one day down in our restaurant, he thought he'd bought a ranch. The guy didn't know what he bought. Now what he's trying to do is trying to save his butt. Don't let him do that to us. We own this place, he doesn't.
Fair, totally agree with that. Okay? Okay?
Do we have any other? Do we have any other questions? All right. Now's the time where we, the outgoing board members, am I? Can't hear you. Thank you. Okay, so outgoing board members get a chance to say anything. I've served on this board for about 4 years and 2 months now. Have a few people I want to thank, a few things I want to say. First of all, I'm going to start at the top. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the strength to go through what I've been through for the last 4 years. Philippians 4:13, Paul said, I can do all things through God, through Christ who strengthens me. Next person I want to thank is my husband sitting in that second row right there. Anybody that thinks that this is an easy thing for a board member or family is mistaken, because it requires a lot of work, a lot of, you're put in positions where you make decisions that are not popular with everybody. You can't make the 4,000 residents of Holly Lake Ranch, all of them happy all of the time. I want to thank my parents who moved out here in 2011 and introduced me to this place. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. As Craig drove across the dam this morning, there were 2 doe walking up the side of the dam, and I looked out on the lake and I thought, we are all blessed to live in this wonderful place. I've served with a lot of board members over the last several years. I see some of them in the audience. Some of them are sitting on this stage. These people work hard, day in, day out. These people sitting beside me on the stage right now are not just fellow board members and administrators. They're friends and they're family. I can't say enough good things about our general manager, about my fellow directors. I think there's a misconception, if you will, that we all just sit around in those boardrooms and sing kumbaya and agree on everything, and that's not the way it is. We all bring different skill sets to the table. We all bring different strengths to the table. We complement each other in ways, we fill in gaps for each other. Sometimes we butt heads with each other, but in the end, we're a team. I'm proud to have been a part of this team for 4 years. Now it's time to move on, spend a little more time with my husband, a little more time with my parents, my friends, my family, and I just want to thank you for allowing me to serve this wonderful community for 4 years.
Good luck to the new board. Congratulations. Wish you
Thanks, Mark. Say again? Sure, I haven't read it all the way through, but yes? Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We started a few years ago, was the reading of Teddy Roosevelt in 1910 in Paris. He gave a very historical and famous speech, Citizen in a Republic. For the last couple of years, we've taken a very popular excerpt from that, typically known as the Man in the Arena, and have read that in honor of the outgoing board members. So I'd like to do that at this time. It says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or whether the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I'd like to add Mark and Stacy, thank you for standing in the arena. Thank you for making difficult decisions required for the protection and advancement of this community. Thank you for your vision and your courage. Aside from you and your spouses, most will never know or understand the amount of time, energy, and dedication both of you have given for the benefit of this community. Likewise, most will never understand or appreciate the toll of the attacks, lies, threats lobbied against you by those whom you were seeking to serve. This community is far better off because of both of you. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve under your guidance and direction. You are both respected and appreciated. Your sage guidance, vision, and work ethic will be missed, both incredibly and dearly. May your journeys be filled with peace, joy, and the satisfaction of achievement only known by those who have stood in the arena. Fair winds and following seas.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, the two departing board members will depart. I would like to add my thank you to both Stacy and Mark for everything they've done. I'm hung up on the chair here. Okay, so thought I'd stand up for this part just because I hadn't stood up in a while. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you again to Stacy and Mark. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go through bringing in the new members as part of the process, the new board members. So Terry, did you join us? Unfortunately, Jerry had the right place to be at a wedding for his son. Can't imagine making a different decision. We did try to make that happen, but you know, the Wi-Fi is something else to work on here. But the Wi-Fi over here just, you know, what we didn't want to have was some kludgy thing going on. We did test it, and it's unfortunate he's not here. I will say that this new board with Jerry has already held its first meeting. So we held a meeting at 9 o'clock, and we went through a discussion of who's going to serve what role. And you guys are pretty familiar with the roles. Some of you have done the roles, right? But these roles are critical, but they're very, I will say, process-oriented, right? So somebody's got to put agendas together. Somebody's got to collect minutes, because it's important to the association that we keep track of what it is we're doing and that we do it right. And we follow, you know, 209, and we're doing things by the law. And the law says there's notice that's got to happen, and there's people that have to keep track of that, of when we're going to have meetings, what we're going to do, all of those kind of things. So we met this morning to go through who's going to do what position. And I would say it was a very good meeting. Terry? Yes, sir. Okay. This was not a meeting where preconceived notions went in. Somebody said, well, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. We started the meeting with, who wants to be the president of the association? Okay? That's as it should be, so that everybody can step up and say, here's what I would like to do to contribute to this organization and to the community. Okay? So what we walked out of there with was the consensus of these 5 people. And I think it's important that that happened. And I think it's important that it happens the way it did. There was no strong arm, there was no, right? I mean, we had a discussion. Did we have a spirited discussion? Of course we did. You'd expect us to, right? So I thought it was a very good meeting, and we've now concluded our first meeting, which is getting together. So what I want to do is announce who's going to fill what role. So the collective would like me to serve as president of the board. So, thank you. Jerry Nunley will be the VP. You know, I can't speak for Jerry. Jerry can speak for Jerry quite well. But you know, Jerry was offered the president just like everybody else. And Jerry wanted this particular position. Again, I'm speaking for a guy that's not here. But just open out of the meeting. And he wanted that so that he could learn going forward. And there is an organization to this. There is a process to this. And we do have to follow rules. And we do have to follow laws. And so it's important that we do that. And so Jerry wanted that role to begin that transition, okay? So just speaking for Jerry. On the treasurer side, Monica is going to fill the treasurer role that Mark had. Ileana will continue as the secretary. She just has to take really good notes, right? And get things done on time or catch hell for it. And Terry requested the member at large. Member at large, just as all the other roles, is an important role. And some of you have filled that role. And so what I would say is, and I said these were very process-oriented, and they are. It's how we run. Somebody's got to stand up here and do this or that, you know. But 5 people decide what happens. 5 people. And so we will have discussions. You can count on 5. We've already yet this morning talked about what we might do different in the board meetings, how we conduct them, what we say, open, transparent, all those things. And I'll just close with this. It's not lost on me. It's not lost on the rest of the board. The 1,000 people, give or take, voted for a change in direction. Okay? Okay. So it's not lost on me. It's not lost on Monica. It's not lost on Ileana. And we know it's not lost on Terry Haney and Jerry Nunley. Okay? So, so that was the discussion this morning. I wanted to share that with you. Those will be the roles going forward. And unless there's further comments or questions, yes, ma'am. We could, but the cell service is just not. I mean, we did try. I mean, I'm very disappointed, right, that he's not here. And I will say this, and you know, you can't change history, but you know, had we known he wasn't here, we maybe could have moved this meeting. But we have to do that according to the rules of when we make announcements and the meeting was set. We have to do it 144 hours out and all those kind of things. And so the meeting was set when we found that out. So it's unfortunate, but he's here Monday. We will go through you know, beginning the work to drive the place forward and set priorities together. So did you want to, we go through an oath of office. We all take it. We all take it every year. And this, you know, at the end of the day says we're going to do the right thing for the ranch. Okay?
So the oath of office. Each director of the association, when elected, shall take and subscribe to an oath that he or she will, insofar as the duty devolves upon him or her, faithfully, honestly, and diligently administer the affairs of the association, and that he or she will not knowingly violate nor willingly permit violation of any laws applicable to the association. Directors, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Bill Pease,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, truly, impartially, and honestly, and to the best of my judgment, skill and ability, execute and perform the duties required of me as a member of the Holly Lake Ranch Association Board of Directors. So help me God. Thank you.
And with that, we will adjourn to a beautiful day.